Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I am just so happy to be sitting here and filming. I have not felt the best. I will kind of touch on that a little bit, but I've had a pretty nasty flare with my dystonia and it's taken me out. So I had to rest and get things figured out with my neurologist, but I feel better now, thankfully, and I'm ready to try a bunch of new makeup. So everything that I use today will be linked down below in the description box. If you like trying new makeup videos, give this video a thumbs up and let's go ahead and get into it. All right, so I've got you zoomed in and I wanted to test out a couple lip products. So I wanna start with this Sephora Collection Lip Tint Liner. Now I purchased this and I got the shade Cocoa Swipe. We are seeing these all over. I have been loving the NYX a lot. And then I also really like the Huda Beauty. Okay, I have to get the sticker off here. And I believe this comes in 4 different colors. Looking at the tip, it is pretty similar to the NYX, if not identical. So I wanna swatch this color. This is Cocoa Swipe. I typically like more of a pink color because I use these when I'm not wearing any makeup or very minimal makeup, and I like something that looks like my lips but better. But I still do reach for these sometimes that are more on the brown side. So the tip is more stiff than the NYX, which is, I guess, good if you want more precision. It still does like bend and flex, but the NYX is much softer. This has a scent. I don't know if I love that. I don't want to say it's floral, but there is some sort of scent, and it is reminding me of the NYX in the way that it applies. It's not going to be as opaque or I guess even as, let's say, the darker shades in the Huda Beauty. But for me, I'm not that concerned about it because I like to kind of use my finger, blend it out. I don't use this as like a crisp line like I do a normal lip liner. That shade actually isn't too bad. So I'm just gonna blend this. I wanna see in terms of longevity. I had this sitting here. I mean, maybe a little bit of transfer. I am pushing hard. So maybe a little bit of transfer, but I wanna kinda leave this on there as we go and see how it lasts. But I wanted to go on next and demo this Patrick Ta lip balm. So I wasn't gonna buy any of these because they all looked very, very sheer. I feel like I'm so tired of lip balms. There are a few that stand out to me, but they stand out for different reasons, like whether they're super thick and really hydrating like the Ole Henriksen, or they have a really pretty tint to them like the BabsBeauty. But I did see the swatches and I was like, you know what? I think this shade I may like, and curiosity got me. I wanted to know so that I could really review it and give you guys my thoughts. So this is the shade Pink Salted Caramel. The packaging is pretty basic. I mean, I feel like what can you really do anymore with a lip balm? This color I really, really love. It has a little bit of pigment to it. It's not full body pigment, but it has just enough to really give me that like pink coral milky look to the lips. So let me just apply this. I find that it's very, very slippy and smooth on the lips. It's not a thick formula, let's say like the Ole Henriksen, but I would say it is thicker than Rhode. And I find that I actually like this more on top of lipstick. I think it smells good as well, but that's not enough for me to really rave about a lip balm. I need something to stand out, whether it be how beautiful it looks, which this for me is something I would throw in my bag, or how hydrating it is. For eyes, I have this gorgeous YSL palette that I actually purchased from Chic Profile on Instagram. She got this and another Byredo palette for me, and she was fabulous. I just haven't filmed with it because it wasn't available in the States. I haven't even tried it yet, but it is available now. So I will link it down below. I'm really excited to demo this. This is the Valentine's Clutch, and the packaging is stunning. It has a really beautiful, like soft pastel color story. But before we dive into that, I did want to tell you guys about MIDI Health and how they really have changed my outlook on my healthcare. As a woman that is in her midlife era, I feel like things are changing. I'm noticing brain fog, insomnia, increased anxiety, and my normal yearly labs are telling me nothing. Everything looks normal, but I'm not feeling normal. That's where MIDI comes in. So thank you to MIDI for sponsoring this portion of today's video. I've worked with them a few times. I am a big fan, and I want to tell you why I love them so much. So MIDI is a virtual care clinic founded by women for women. They are covered by insurance where available in all 50 states, and they go beyond the typical annual labs. MIDI offers something called the Age Well service, and this connects you with a clinician that specializes in women's health to track beyond basic labs. They do quarterly checks on hormones, thyroid, cholesterol, blood sugar, and inflammation. So there's actual data to create a custom plan with targeted supplements that are catered to you specifically. They also do retesting and follow-ups to see what's working and what may need to be tweaked based on facts and not just guesswork. And I can say for me personally, being in my late 30s, I noticed some changes and I felt like I was just being brushed off until I found MIDI, and it really has changed my mindset. I've had a pretty rough year with some health issues, being diagnosed with cervical dystonia and then losing 2 of my dogs. And my anxiety has been the most controlled that I can remember in a long time in these past 3 months from being on HRT. And I really have no one to thank other than my clinician at MIDI. I absolutely love her. She's incredible. We laugh and she tells me about like her personal life. I can relate to her, but I do trust her. And she listens to me when I say, you know, something doesn't feel right or I'm not comfortable with something. So it's really just been a great experience overall. And it's really easy to book a visit. Usually they have openings within a couple days. So if you're a last minute type of gal like I am, or you have something that's really bothering you and you don't want to wait weeks or months to get in person. So if you want to check out MIDI, I will have them linked at the top of my description box. I highly recommend you book an Age Well visit, especially if you're going through changes and you don't know where to turn. So all the information will be down below, but let's go ahead and try some more new makeup. I thought that I would just show you the packaging on this YSL palette. And here are the swatches from this palette. So this is a very light palette overall. You're not gonna get like a deep smoky look with this. So it looks like we have a really cool tone vibe and then this like champagne color. Now these palettes, if you've not used them, they're very soft in terms of the formula and buttery. So I wanna go ahead and start on a look. And I'm gonna dip into this shade. I'm gonna use the Nikki LaRose BK, the small N20. There is kick up in the pan, but they're so creamy. It's just kind of hard to describe this formula until you get your hands on it. And this is gonna be a light look overall just because that's the nature of the color story. So I'm just going to blend this. She uses this to blend like her transition shades. So I was like, you know what? Let me try that because I've used this for highlighter and for concealer. It's actually perfect because it's like big enough to really diffuse so you don't get those harsh lines. So this is a very light transition. It could probably be darker if you didn't set your lid or if you used a smaller brush. Next, I'm gonna dip into the more pink color, and I'm gonna use the Nikki LaRose N22. This one is really pretty. It almost looks like it has a little bit of a sheen to it. So I wanna put this on the outer edge and then kind of into the crease just to add a little bit of depth. But again, this is a very like pastel color story. And just to beef up that intensity, because this does kind of have a similar color to my lids and my skin in general, I'm just gonna use my finger. If you have really fair skin, I think this is gonna be gorgeous. And then again, gonna use my finger just to kind of build that up. And I wanna try to tightline with this NYX This is the Ember Energy Cream Gel Eyeliner. It's really, really thin. And I don't remember who, but I saw a creator talking about how this is like the perfect size to get in tight line. So I want to go ahead and, instead of putting it like in my upper waterline, kind of wiggling it on my actual lash line. I have a hard time because I do have really light blonde lashes, and then I also have like eye allergies and I wear contacts. So I have a hard time putting a bunch of liner like in my waterline every day. I can't do that. My eyes kind of get irritated after even a couple days of mascara. So I was really intrigued by this shape. I mean, I can definitely see a difference. I never know what to do out on the edge because I feel like my eyes come down and I don't want to have that low effect. I want to lift, but the outer corners of my eyes don't lift. You know, I just wasn't created that way. So that's why I think I always do a wing, but I'm going to try to resist the urge today. So I'm gonna go ahead and do it on the other side. This is a really unique shape. Okay, so I think I'm going to leave that there. It definitely did give me some definition. I'm just gonna have to practice a little bit more, and it's hard to do on camera. But I wanna jump back into the palette, and I wanna start off with this purple shade. This just looks really, really beautiful. These are so soft. They are quite powdery, but they're very creamy. Like there's a really nice creamy feel to them, and they just give you this pretty soft sparkle. So I'm just going to put that kind of in the center area. This is if you like a kind of like subdued sparkle. You don't want something crazy over the top, but again, it's sort of like a satin with glitter particles. You can see the glitter fall out on my face. So then I'm gonna go into the lighter color, and I want to pop this more on the inside of my lid just to kind of brighten up. And then I'm just taking a little bit of that pink shade with my finger just to kind of reinforce on the outer edges, and then I'm just gonna kind of soften. All right, so I went ahead and put some mascara on. I'm gonna let it dry, and then I'm going to curl it. But I wanted to try out these Dior lip oils. So I purchased 2 different shades. I figured that I would try a glittery one and then more pigmented one. So let's swatch these. I picked up the shade 085 Cupcake. The packaging feels, I want to say, very similar, but they reformulated this and I don't really know why. There's 3 different finishes. It looks like there's the shimmer or glitter, which this one is considered to be. I don't know, I just feel like I don't really see much shimmer. I ordered this offline, so I didn't get to see them in person. It has kind of like a minty smell. So let's just apply this. It has the large doe foot. I mean, I think it's glossy, but I don't see any glitter really, which is disappointing because I was looking for something that had some sort of glitter in it. It is very shiny. I would say it's not sticky, and it's very, very, you know, comfortable on the lips. I can feel a little bit of grit, like if I really focus to try, but I've seen some people say that certain shades, they can feel a lot of grit. So I wish that I would have gotten a different color. I might go in store and swatch them because there was a couple like pink shimmery ones that looked like they had a lot of like glitter in them. And then I also picked up Juicy. This one just looked so beautiful. It's quite pigmented from what I saw. Okay, this definitely has much more pigment. If you want kind of like that bitten sort of popsicle look. So let me wipe this one off. I'm really sad about this one. Yeah, this one definitely has more color. I do like that they have options. It looks like they have like their standard lip oils, and then they have a few colors that actually have pigment, and then they have the shimmery ones. Okay, this one is really pretty. I think this would be stunning on deeper complexions or just thrown on in the summertime just to give you that really pretty pop. So I actually really like this one. Again, it has that minty smell. It's nothing overpowering, and I'm not feeling a tingle at all. It feels a little like smidge refreshing, which I like. I'm glad that it's not like burning. So my pick would be this one. This one I'm definitely disappointed in. I might go exchange it just because they're so expensive. I want something with a little bit of shimmer. To prep the skin, I'm gonna be using my holy grail, which is the BabsBeauty Dream Barrier Cream. I have gone through 4 bottles since they launched this, and I'm not exaggerating. It has saved my skin from being flaky, so I will never stop raving about it. I just bought a 3-pack because they do like a bundle deal. I cannot recommend this enough. If you have really dry skin, it's sensitive, you're acne prone, I'm going to just apply like probably 4 pumps because it has been so dry here. And I use this at night too to lock in like all my other serums. But I just love how it sits under makeup as well. And I don't have a new foundation to try, so I'm gonna mix 2 of my favorites. I love mixing these, but I love both of these formulas. This is the L'Oreal Infallible Fresh Wear, and then the True Match. So I have the shade N3 in the True Match and 430 in the Infallible, but I do mix in a little bit of this LA Girl because I am fair, and I have not self-tanned in a long time. I'm like out. Literally like scraping to get the last little bit of this foundation out. And I'm gonna use a BK 106 to apply. I love this brush. I feel like nobody talks about it. They always talk about their like slanted one, but this one is one of my favorite foundation brushes. It's a little bit darker than my actual complexion, but it kind of matches my body. And you know what? I need a little bit of color. We'll just pull it down our neck. So foundation is on, and I want to try out this new bronzing stick from Dior. So this is the Dior Forever Skin Bronze Stick. I got the shade 03 Light Medium. I love the packaging. I think it's so beautiful. Dior is just one of those brands I get excited about. I would say that it does lean more cool overall. I'm kind of surprised that they are calling these bronzing sticks because the swatches that I've seen really do run quite cool. Now this is supposed to be a balm, but it's not as emollient as I was anticipating, which is good for me. It does have a nice creaminess to it. I would say it's not sticky, which means that it'll probably play well with powder, which is important to me. I'm gonna use my F4 from Mario, which I am absolutely in love with. And I'm gonna just start to try to warm up the skin. Blends really easily, but it does have more of a cool undertone. And I do feel like this one, you're gonna have to apply more if you want that chiseled look, or maybe go up a shade. I do feel like it did give me a nice shadow there, and I'm happy to see that it's not a sticky balm, because when I read balm, I was thinking I'm going to absolutely hate this. It does have that floral scent, but I have to be honest, I didn't even notice it like at all, even blending it and swatching it. I had to actually like get my nose up to it, which I'm actually happy about. Okay, so this is what the Dior bronzing stick looks like on the skin. Very, very easy to blend, more of a buildable formula. Very thin, even though it is creamy, it doesn't feel tacky. So my first impression is good. I would just say when in doubt, go a shade darker, or just be ready to build it up and get more of like that natural finish. and they do run cool from what I've seen. So I don't have a new blush or like liquid blush, so I'm just gonna use this Armani in 50.5. I love this formula, but I find that I really like kind of like a peachy coral when I have more cool tones on my lips and eyes. So I'm just going to dot a little bit on the tops of my cheekbones. This is why I'm obsessed with this brush, because it just is so convenient. And for concealer, I'm gonna use an oldie but a goodie. This is the Too Faced Born This Way in the color Swan. The reason I wanna use something I know is because I'm going to be trying out the Huda Beauty Easy Bake Pressed, the reformulation. So I really don't want to try a new concealer that is going to, you know, make my under eyes look rough or textured. So I wanna kinda let this sit for a second and then we'll blend it out. So I'm gonna use a BK A506 to blend this out. And the reason that I hadn't been posting is because I had a really bad reaction to Botox this last session for my dystonia. And a lot of people don't even know what dystonia is. I didn't know until I was diagnosed with it, but I got diagnosed with cervical dystonia, which is a muscle disease. It's in the same, I guess, wheelhouse or same kind of movement disease category as Parkinson's, which is actually terrifying, but it is what it is. So I got diagnosed with that this past year. I've had some issues with my neck for a few years, and I ended up in the ER a couple times for torticollis, which is basically when your neck is like cranked. Turns out that that was like kind of the beginning of me being diagnosed with cervical dystonia. So it's definitely been challenging for my mental health because, you know, it's scary, it's chronic, it's like chronic pain. That has been pretty crap, but you have to get Botox injections and diagnosed by a neurologist. So I have like a head and neck specialist neurologist that I see. So I had really good relief with my first set of injections. The second set, I had some relief, but not as long. And then this third set that I just had, I think it was like 3 weeks ago, and I felt worse after. So that has been challenging. I ended up calling my neurologist because I was just like in so much discomfort, and I went back in, he examined me, and he did a trigger point injections on the back of my neck because there was like this area like this big right at the base of my skull that was just angry and tight. It hurt so bad. So that's been fun. I haven't been sleeping. It just sucks because it's like chronic pain, but you know, you just have to live with it. So I've been struggling with that. So hopefully I'll have some relief for a while because sleeping is like hugely important to me. I already have like insomnia and I'm not a good sleeper. I'm an overthinker. And if I can't sleep, it is truly, truly damaging. Like I can't function. I feel worlds better just getting a little bit of sleep. So that is what I have been dealing with. Last year was like literally a horrible year. So, you know, we all have to go through things, but last year health-wise and then losing my dogs was pretty terrible. But moving on to setting the face, these were sent to me in PR from Huda Beauty. I actually purchased one of them for same day delivery, and then this package showed up literally like right after. But these are the reformulated Easy Bake Pressed. So she sent these. I have pound cake and I also have cherry blossom cake. And then she also sent a little puff. I think I want to use pound cake to start. Now I typically don't set my face with a pressed powder first. Usually I'll do a loose powder, dust that away, and then use a pressed powder to add coverage or to like sharpen or brighten. Now she did come out with this a while ago and it was not good. It had like a shimmer in it. It actually did make your texture look worse. So I believe that's the reason for reformulating, I think, as well as like different laws with talc. So I want to go ahead and zoom you in and let's just start on this side of the face. And I'm going to use the puff dipping into pound cake. As I said, I usually don't use like a pressed powder. And looking in my mirror, there is no shimmer, which is great. So it looks like they actually did reformulate this to actually be like the loose powder, but in a pressed form. I will say that it is very, very like hard pressed. So I don't know how it's gonna work to like sharpen up. I will try that. And it definitely does blur, but I do still prefer to use a loose powder to set. I need a little bit more setting around my nostril area, but I can definitely say that it is better than the first time that this came out, because that was not good. Everybody was expecting blurred, and it actually enhanced your texture. And this is a different type of sponge. It's not like the standard triangle sponges that are more cloth. It actually has a spongy like texture. Wonder if it's probably good for like blotting. So this is what the skin looks like set with the Easy Bake powder pressed. I do think that it is much, much better. And I wanna try it after we put on all of our powder products to really kind of clean up around the jawline and the nose. But I'm gonna also grab my Givenchy 002 bronzing powder. I absolutely love this. It's like one of the only bronzers that doesn't patch up my skin. And I'm gonna use the Huda Beauty Face Diffusing Cheek Brush and just kind of swirl in. I just wanna add a little bit of warmth. Just kind of enhance that Dior. And then I want to take a little bit of this Dior Backstage Rosy Glow blush. So this is the newer blushes that have a glow to them. So I just want to add a little bit. Oh, okay. That was a little much, but this is a really sheer blush. It's kind of like a topper for me. And now that I curled my lashes and finished my brows, I want to go back into the pound cake, and I'm going to put this on the sides of my nose. This is typically how I use like pressed powders, or I use them for coverage, like the one size I love to add coverage. This seems like more of a sheer formula, so it would be really nice to use to bake. And I just go under, and I'm just gonna let that bake while we move on to the next product. So Kosas came out with these new highlighters. So they sent these to me in PR. These are the Shiny Objects powder highlighters. So there's 5 shades in total. I pulled out 3. This is what the packaging looks like. It's definitely interesting, not necessarily what I would have thought for Kosas, but let's go ahead and swatch this color. This one is haloed, and this is probably gonna be the most universal just because it's that like kind of standard gold shade. They have an iridescent shade called Opaline. It is quite intense, might be pretty on the eyes. They do have a weird texture. Like when you're touching these, they're chunky, or textured is the word, textured. When you rub into them, like you can see the texture on there, and they're not powdery. And then the rose gold, definitely too deep for my skin tone. This is the Glimmer Rose. So I don't know, they had it on the models like I said. So let's start with the haloed. I think this is the only one that I'm gonna be able to use as an actual highlighter. So I'm just gonna dip in with a clean brush. And like I said, it's not powdery. So this is one layer. Let me go ahead and dip in again. Yeah, you can build it up. I do think that it does kind of grab on to texture. It's really beautiful when you turn your face, but it does have a little bit of glitter, I would say. I like that the glitter's not like flying all over. I don't have a bunch of glitter fallout. It seems to stay within where you apply the highlighter. I'm just gonna go in with this same gold color. I mean, that gave me a really beautiful pop. I wonder how these would look on the eye. The models looked really beautiful with these on the eye, so I would probably use them more so for that. And to finish off this look, I'm excited because I have 3 new shades of the MAC Powder Kiss Haze. They're new lipsticks, but I want to line my lips first. I went ahead and wiped off the lip oil. I feel like there's still quite a bit of stain there. I don't know, it seems like it hung around, but I'm gonna use the ABH Deep Taupe lip liner. And now I wanna get into these MAC lipsticks. So these are their new reformulated Powder Kiss Haze lipsticks. So I picked up 3 different colors. These look so beautiful. The first one is super cool toned. This is Girls Weekend. I think this is the coolest like light shade. I also have Off the Market. This one's definitely not a cool shade, but it's a nice nude. And then I think this is gonna be my favorite. This is Be My Bridesmaid. I think I'm gonna love that one. A beautiful like light peachy pink. I'm gonna start out actually with the really cool tone one, Girls Weekend. Yeah, they kind of have like a glide to them. Silicone glide, which I think gives them a nice comfortable feel while also having that like blurred, blotted look. So this is Girls Weekend. I think it's more wearable than I initially thought. I might as well try Off the Market while we're here. So this one is definitely warmer, but still has that like kind of muted peach look. So this one is Off the Market. And lastly, let's go in with Be My Bridesmaid. Yeah, I feel like on the lips, they all are really, really soft. They're quite buildable and they don't feel dry. They have like this silicone feel to them that gives them this slip and creaminess. I think that's what blurs the lips, but it doesn't feel like dry or powdery. This is definitely gonna be my most used color. I think it's really pretty, so I'm really excited about this. So now that it's been quite a while, I'm just going to wipe away the powder that we used to bake. I do feel like it did brighten up a little bit. It's not the most pigmented powder, but some people prefer that, but I am very happy that they did not put glow or any type of illumination in this formula because it truly was not like the original Huda Beauty Easy Bake. So I'm happy that it is now. And the last product that I want to test today is the new Say City Set Lightweight Setting Spray. So they sent this to me in PR. This is supposed to be fragrance-free, alcohol-free. It says a long-lasting, non-comedogenic setting spray that hydrates and locks in your makeup for 16 hours, but has a natural dewy finish. So I'm gonna just shake it up. It doesn't have, you know, a ball or anything like that. I have the mini here. Oh, that mister is fabulous. It doesn't have a scent. The scent that I smell, I think, is just the ingredients. It has like a very, very slight spa-like scent. So I'm just gonna go ahead and spray my whole face. Okay, I like that the mister is super fine. I see a little bit of droplets on my forehead only. The mister is very, very fine, but it's very, very narrow, so it doesn't spray out and get your entire face. So you're going to have to like target like I did or zigzag. It doesn't feel very wet on the skin. I'm trying to see if I look dewier. I would say maybe a little bit dewier in my T-zone area. I want to see how this does throughout the day because I know that my makeup that I'm wearing right now, this foundation wears really well for me. So we'll see if my foundation deteriorates or looks better, but it seems to be just kind of like melt your powders in type of spray until I can see how much it helps with longevity. All right, guys, so here's my finished makeup look, trying out a bunch of new products, and I wanna go over my thoughts. So I'm actually quite impressed with this Sephora lip liner. I really like the shade. I like that it has more of a firm tip, but it still has precision. I think that it actually holds on pretty well. I still have some on my hand, and I felt like it did keep its shape even after I used foundation and all of the products. My only complaint would be the scent. It does dissipate, but I don't really know why it's there. It's a little off-putting initially. And then I do really like the Patrick Ta lip balm in this color. I'm actually going to apply a little bit to show you how I would wear it because it has this really soft, like pink milkiness. Do I believe that this is the most hydrating lip balm? No. I think that the shade is just really, really pretty, but overall, I do like it. I'm happy I got this shade, but I won't pick up any more colors. So I think it's one of those that maybe one and done will be good. And then in terms of the YSL palette, packaging is a 10 out of 10. I think this is such a beautiful, soft, romantic palette. I do think that it is very, very light and pastel. Now keep in mind that I did set my lid heavily before using it. If I hadn't set my lid, I think I would have gotten more payoff just in this shade in particular, but overall it's going to give you a very soft look. So if you're expecting deep pigment, you're not gonna get that. I do like that there are two different mattes and then two different shimmers, and I really like to use this shade to just brighten the inner corner. So are you gonna get a bunch of different looks from this? No. It's more of a collector's piece and more of if you like this formula that's very creamy and buttery and soft, and you want this color story and packaging, but I'm happy to have it. And then one of my standouts today has to be this NYX liner. I've not heard anybody talk about this other than the one TikToker. It's so interesting because it's flat and you can really have precision. So I'm interested to keep trying this. It's very creamy and you do have a little bit of wiggle room to blend, and I'm talking like a little bit to soften, but then it sets and it's not budging. So really made tight lining much easier for me personally. Again, the Dior lip oils, I'm disappointed in this one just because I feel like it looks clear, but I do really like this shade. I just thought that it was really nice and juicy looking, a nice amount of pigment, and it was evenly dispersed, so it wasn't like chunking in certain areas like I've had with the Clarins limited edition lip oils. I also like that it's minty but very subtle. It doesn't burn. Do I think that we needed to, revamp those? Not really, but brands are doing a lot of things I don't understand lately, so I do like that one shade. And then quite happy with this. I was a little scared because it said balm, but again, it has a really nice blendability and creaminess while also being very thin. Packaging, again, 10 out of 10. I do think that if you're looking for warmth, you may need to go for a deeper shade or go for the warmest shade possible, or just go for a different formula altogether, because this definitely leans cool and it does have that scent, but very mild on this. So quite happy that it did not, irritate me. And the Huda Beauty, very happy that she re-released these without, illumination or glowiness. These do blur. They are more sheer and, like I said, hard pressed. This is more of a lightweight baking powder, which makes sense because it's supposed to blur and mattify, and it definitely does that. I still prefer to use a loose powder first and then use something like this to sharpen, which I did. So I'll keep testing that and playing around, but definitely worlds better than when she initially came out with this and everybody was like, what? And in terms of the Kosas highlighters, I think I'll get the most use out of the Haloed. They have this interesting texture. For me personally, I'm gonna use these more on the eyes because they do give a really pretty shine. And like I said, the models in some of the pamphlets they sent looked really pretty with the rose gold on the eyes. I find that they're just a little texture enhancing as a highlighter. Not to say that I wouldn't use them, but really in terms of wearing this on my face, I would only use this shade. So I want to play around with the other colors on my eyes, but the inner corner is bright and I'm loving that. And then I'm super happy about the shades I got in the MAC lipstick formula. My favorite has to be the Be My Bridesmaid. It's just a really pretty like peachy pink, and the formula is really comfortable. It's not dry, it's very thin. So very happy with those. And the Say, it's just too early to tell. It did, I think, melt my powders in a little bit. There's no offensive scent. There's nothing really notable that is standing out to me. So I'm gonna have to wear this and see if it breaks up my makeup or if it makes my makeup look better over time. I do think that it added a little bit of hydration, so we'll have to see how my makeup does throughout the rest of the day. But I think that is everything for this trying new makeup. I hope you guys got to see some new products in action that you were curious about. Let me know if you've tried any of these or if you want to try some of them, what you're most excited about. So of course I will link everything down below in my description box. And if you did enjoy this video and you want more trying new makeup videos, give this video a thumbs up. I will also have a link at the top of my description box to book your Age Well visit with Midi. I highly recommend checking them out. So all of the information will be down below, but if you're new here, I hope you stick around and subscribe. As always, thank you guys again so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.